Here's another claim inside of the Epstein files that was quite interesting. A guard claimed that Epstein was smuggled out before his death. A lot of people have said the dead body that we saw, which, by the way, it's weird we even saw a dead body. You know, they leaked the picture of Epstein after he was found dead. When else do you see that? I mean, we don't really ever see that. So it's almost like they wanted us to see it. So maybe there's more legitimacy to this claim than not, because we do have a picture of Epstein. And then people were pointing out that doesn't look like Epstein. And I'll show you those photos. But this individual anonymously posted on 4chan the morning of Epstein's death, August 10th, 2019, claiming he witnessed weird happenings at the prison before Epstein's death had been identified, and now he's been identified in the Epstein files. It turns out that this guard is Roberto Grijalva. He's an officer at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in New York. He has been identified as the anonymous prison employee who posted on 4chan claiming Epstein left his cell Friday evening shackled in a medical wheelchair, while at the same time an unauthorized trip van arrived at the prison, which he believed took Epstein away the night before news broke of his death. He was claiming, I saw the guy, they took him out of here. Weird things were going on. I mean, nobody really believed this guy, but let's just go ahead and look at the picture that leaked. And when we saw this, people were like, oh, yep, he's dead. There he is. But then people pointed out, that doesn't even look like him. And here's a side-by-side. Now, this is a picture of Jeffrey Epstein alive that's been turned sideways, but you can see here the nose. People are pointing out that the nose shapes are different. One nose goes down, the dead guy's nose goes down, and Epstein's nose is straight and doesn't curve down. The nostrils are different. Many people pointed to the ears being different. Just the shape of the ears are different. And now that we know who this guard is, you know, this anonymous posting, and now that this has come out in the Epstein files of who it is, I don't know, do you put more believability into it?
Oh boy. Deeper than Atlantis. We are back here on Straight Out of the Cannon with me on Issues and Answers Friday, 7:44 in the PM. So I got to wrap this up in a timely manner before Dr. Williams comes in with the 2x4 like Hacksaw Jim Duggan and kicks me out personally. Hopefully before the end of the hour. It is 7:44 in the PM, folks. Yes, here on February the 6th, 2026, here on the Regent's Choice and the People's Voice. As you heard in the intro, that's the new theory that Epstein is still alive. Now, I know that might sound far-fetched. That can sound very, very, very far-fetched. But there is some credibility, maybe a tad bit, to this theory. A 4chan post. Ask your grandchildren, your kids or your grandchildren, what 4chan is. It's a message board for weirdos, basically. And like people who like to troll on the internet and, you know, basically get their rocks off by being little jerks to people. 4chan, there was a post published on the morning of Jeffrey Epstein's death. Now, why is this credible? Because it was an hour before the first news reports. And it was made by an anonymous user that claimed to have witnessed unusual activity inside the Manhattan facility, telling a story that appeared to contradict the official account of Jeffrey Epstein hanging himself. Online sleuths and conspiracy theories now say that the Department of Justice records identify the poster as Roberto Grijalva, who is a lieutenant at the Metropolitan Correctional Center at the time of the incident. So this wasn't just some weird kid making up stuff. This is actually a lieutenant at the Metropolitan Correctional Center where Jeffrey Epstein was being held. According to the documents, Grijalva's name appeared in Citibank records provided in response to a grand jury subpoena by then U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman. An hour before Epstein's death was announced, a series of 4chan posts from an MCC, which is, again, the Metropolitan Correctional Center, prison guard appeared claiming that a body swap took place with a van arriving that didn't check into the prison and violated other prison protocols. There were other anomalies as well. The cell was not preserved as a crime scene, which completely violates the Bureau of Prison Protocol. Epstein's body was removed before the FBI agents arrived. No photos were taken of the body in the cell. Really? How's that protocol? Items in the cell, like medications and a noose, were moved or disturbed during the initial investigation, leading experts to criticize the handling as shoddy and potentially compromising evidence. Again, Jeffrey Epstein was one of the richest men in the world. He had connections to every major leader in virtually every major country. And this is how they handle an investigation into his death. Really? Come on. Now, this is not a smoking gun in itself, but it adds evidence to the likelihood of a body swap. I'm sorry, it kind of does. Additionally, no DNA evidence or fingerprints confirmations exist of Jeffrey Epstein's body because his brother Mark supposedly identified the body as real. Now, would Mark Epstein have an incentive to lie about his brother actually being dead and even instigate a fake fight over whether he was murdered or not, or committed suicide to distract from the theory that he is alive? That's crazy. You know, I mean, that's just, I'm sorry, this whole story has just been crazy, and it continues to get crazier and crazier. But it can even get crazier than what it is now. Not only is Jeffrey Epstein may still be alive, okay, he may still be alive. We have some of the plans that Jeffrey Epstein allegedly had. According to him, he plotted to create a superior gene pool with his victims, these documents suggest. Now, one of the more underrated, underplayed revelations of the Epstein files was just how racist Jeffrey Epstein and a lot of his collaborators were, particularly the Jewish ones, who talked about them as Jews being better than everybody else and having superior genetics. It's in the files. It's in the emails. They're talking to each other. They sound like Hitler and the Nazis in the 1930s talking about them, the Jews. Jeffrey Epstein was a Jewish supremacist. So there is some speculation that he may have forced an underage victim to carry his child in a Nazi-like effort to create a superior gene pool, according to documents released by the Department of Justice. Among the more than 3 million Epstein files released is a harrowing diary penned by an alleged victim who wrote that she was a human incubator for Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. She said minutes after giving birth, the child was snatched away from her. The first-person narrative makes several references to New Mexico, where Epstein owned a sprawling ranch outside of Santa Fe. He planned to use the estate to impregnate women in an effort to seed the human race with his DNA. Now, this isn't me saying this. I didn't get this from crazy leftist socialist.com. I know a lot of you are going to attack this. Or this was in the New York Times. Okay? You don't get more mainstream than the New York Times. The New York Times reported this in 2019, citing his acquaintances and public records. So overall, this dude Epstein was just a sick, twisted individual and had some of the richest, most powerful people on earth playing along with him in his little game. But what do y'all think about it? Let's get this call. Hello, caller. What's up?
Yeah. Thinking about his New Mexico thing. You know, it was really close to Los Alamos, the place where they did where they had all the physicists.
Oh yeah, right.
Mathematic brains. And so, what kind of actually he had some kind of institution in mind, right?
Yeah.
And so now imagine this guy was a highly advanced math thinker, and so he's connected to how we actually convert banking and how we actually amplify debt to maximize your purchase power or your cash position.
Yep.
And so it's really about you to know the money, and digress from your subject. I beg forgiveness, but when I go back to the whole idea where I come from, it's like the Chamber of Commerce is the one that recommended Powell as justice, and they promoted these concepts that this guy is teaching.
Right.
I'm just saying it's really the connections.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, bro, and it's like holy mackerels, and I'm talking about, again, another digression here. Why don't we legalize cannabis when 80% of the people think it's to be legal? Well, because after all, we're not smart enough to know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying.
Thank you for your call. I agree. Like, if you look at a lot of the things that have happened over the last 50-something years, as Vic likes to say, a lot of it does go back to the Powell memo. I actually did a segment on it last year. You can all go to my YouTube page, Scott Cannon Radio, and actually watch that segment on Lewis F. Powell. I believe it was Lewis F. Powell Jr., History's Greatest Monsters segment. But yeah, we've been in a situation where for a really long time now, we've been under the thumb of a cabal of multinational interests that are bigger than any one country's government. We see this, they're bigger than both of the parties. They're bigger than any corporations. Obviously, there is a conspiracy. I'm sorry, there is. And these files, what we broke down today here on this show, and there are 3 million files. So obviously, I couldn't break down the whole thing. I tried to skim the best, the most relevant, and on some level, the most sensational parts of the Epstein files. But you guys should go to the Department of Justice and check out some of the files for yourselves. Maybe you'll find something in there that I couldn't find, or something like that. But it's absolutely fascinating to understand the machinations of how this world actually works. Everything Vladimir Putin said about the West was true. We are indeed run by a cabal of satanic pedophiles. That's just what it is. All of our leaders are compromised by the Zionists. That's a fact. And so when they work so hard to make you hate Russia, they work so hard to make you hate China, they work so hard to make you hate Iran, and all these other countries that have never done a damn thing to you, just remember, they are doing that to distract you from the people who are actually making all of our lives miserable, which are the global elites that are in these files. Just saying, folks. I had more material to get into. I might get into it next week. But yeah. All right. Before I get out of here, I want to say a rest in peace to Saif al-Islam Gaddafi. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, the son of Muammar Gaddafi, was murdered this week in Libya. Me and Jonathan talked about him when showed you how long ago this was. When me and Jonathan were on Monday nights, about 6-7 years ago, we talked about Saif being the one hope that Libya had to maybe being able to preserve his father's legacy in helping Libya become the richest country in Africa with the highest living standard before Obama and the globalist elites who are in these Epstein files, the Epstein class, destroyed Libya and brought back chattel slavery. And unfortunately, it looks like that probably won't happen now, as Saif was murdered this week in Libya. I'd always hoped that he would somehow find a way to get in power and be able to punish all the people who brought his father down. But unfortunately, that will not happen. So rest in peace to him.